Hey, thanks for checking out my video. Today I want to discuss the performance modifications that I have made to it. The first thing I did when I got this truck built was change over from the 390 to 1 stock gear ratio to a 529. As I came up with the build, I knew I wanted to run the 285/75 R 17-inch tires, or essentially a 34-inch tire, because I wanted to be able to have some off-road capabilities, but still be able to maintain a better drivability on a road. Remember, the intention of this build was for something to go overlanding with, but also have as a commuter vehicle and day-to-day driving. So, you know, if I'd stayed at a smaller tire, I could have gone with a 488 gear ratio if I wanted to go for 33s. The difference, though, is when I had another Tacoma that was a TRD Pro, I put on a 265/75 R16 tire. So it ended up being a 32-inch tire, 32.5-inch tire. And oddly enough, I noticed no performance issues with the truck. And the speedometer actually became more accurate. I verified that with the GPS on my phone. So you could go up to a 32-inch tire in the Tacoma and be fine, and after 33 inches you end up needing to do a cab mount chop and get different upper control arms, etc. So I don't quite see the reasoning behind going with a 488 gear ratio in that sense. But so for mine, it's a 529, 34-inch tires. But the other factor is weight. I've got a worn winch and a steel front bumper from 4 Wheel Parts. I've got transmission, transfer case skid plates, camper on the back, the Metaltech rock sliders, the Sherpa roof rack. All of this brings the vehicle's weight up to about 6,200 pounds when it's dry, and closer to 6,300 to 6,400 depending on how much gear I'm bringing for a trip that I'm going on. And that's a big jump from the gross vehicle weight rating of 5,600 pounds on the vehicle when it's in a stock configuration. So the 529 gears did help a significant amount when driving the vehicle with the larger tires. The next thing I did, though, was have a Magnuson Supercharger installed, and this had a very noticeable change, or very noticeable difference in performance, especially going up hills. The Magnuson doesn't, it has a bypass, so the boost doesn't actually kick on until you get above 2,900 RPM. So just driving around or cruising around on cruise control or driving around the city, you're probably not even running any boost. It's not until you really step on the gas and get going that the supercharger kicks in and you get a lot more power. And the time when I use this the most is going up hills and trying to pass other vehicles while doing that. If I'm going through a mountain pass or such, I'm able to go a lot quicker. Oddly enough, well, I guess not even oddly, but just interestingly enough, the horsepower to weight ratio of the vehicle stock is only slightly less than the horsepower to weight ratio of the vehicle right now. So this was less about performance upgrade and more about maintaining the performance of the vehicle. The last thing I had done, and this was because with the stock tune on the vehicle and just the supercharger and the gear ratio, I was still noticing the typical city driving or low mile per hour driving issues with the Toyota transmission, where it just has a delay in its responsiveness. But the other issue was when I was at higher speeds or trying to accelerate quickly to get on the freeway, the truck just wasn't letting me have the horsepower that was there. So I ended up contacting Pacific Northwest Tuning, and they put the Overland Taylor Tune onto the truck, which it certainly had a big difference. Them changing the shift points in the first gear and second gear for driving around at slower speeds was noticeable, as well as it no longer seems to hunt at the higher speeds. That's going, going on the freeway or driving at highway speed. So there's a definite change there. Where I would prioritize everything for the vehicle is going to depend upon what you really want to do with it. If you just want a Tacoma and you think it needs more power, but you're going to stay at stock tire size or just above it, and you have the money, go for a Magnuson Supercharger. Clearly, it should be a no-brainer in that respect. If your budget only allows for you to spend, $500 to $1,000, depending on who the tuner is or where they're doing it, or if they're doing a sale, it's definitely worth it to go that route. If you are planning on lifting your vehicle and putting larger tires on, the first thing you should do though is regear. The Overland Taylor tune isn't going to be able to tune the vehicle enough to where it compensates for a 34, 35 or larger tire. Only a regear is going to do that, and that's the case for the Supercharger. It would be somewhat wasteful to get all this horsepower and not regear. That's the way it's going to go. In hindsight, I love the power that the Supercharger gives the truck. I can't necessarily say it was absolutely needed. It makes the driving easier. It makes the driving a lot more fun. There's only about a 1 or 2 mile per gallon hit on fuel economy when I'm having fun with it sometimes. If I'm on the freeway cruising, on cruise control, like I said, it's not putting any boost in there, and so the car just ends up getting the same fuel economy it gets with the tires and the weight that it had before, which is about 18 miles per gallon, depending on road conditions and a few other factors that are going to play in there. But definitely the regearing is the thing you got to do if you're going for bigger tires. I know there are other people that'll say a tune's just as good. It's not. It just doesn't happen that way. But so yeah, it factors in budget, what you're going to do with the build, and what you want, and you can go from there. So speaking of budget, the Overland Taylor tune was, I think, $700 that I paid for that to be done. The regear, it's been so long since I looked at the paperwork on there, but I gotta say, depending on the shop that you're going through and depending on whatever deal you get on the gears, you're looking at somewhere in the range of $3,000 to $5,000 to have that done. And then for the Magnuson Supercharger, the last I checked, it was $7,200 just for the kit, and the shop that I had it done at, it was another $1,800 for install. I don't have a garage, I don't have tools, I don't have anything that would be necessary to do the work, so I just got to pay someone to do it. But when you hop in that pay range between $700, maybe $4,000 and $9,000, in the middle is where you get the biggest gains and performance with the truck. So, all right, that's all I have to say for today. Thanks for watching the video. Have a good day.